Hey guys, this is Chad and Cory Fischman here with Brothers Contracting podcast episode number 2. And today we are talking about how to start a business.
I guess we'll kind of talk more about how we started our businesses and kind of go from there. I think there's probably years and years more of learning to do in order to tell people how to start a business in general, but I think we can impart a little bit of our experiences at the very least.
It's pretty easy to start a business. Doesn't mean anything will happen from there, but
yeah, for sure. You know, I think maybe we kind of go back a little bit and kind of start off getting into a little bit of our education and you know, our thought process growing up and what led us into really getting into business in general.
yeah, we both were University of Florida graduates, whatever that is. We did go to college, 4-year college.
Yeah.
I went to school. You know, a lot of people these days are skipping that idea, and especially in trades fields like what we're in currently and continuing to stay in, because a lot of people don't realize that you don't have to be some kind of desk professional to do well or have a business.
Yeah, honestly, as far as going to college, I got a degree in philosophy, and you know, I just had no clue what I actually wanted to do at that point in my life, and certainly didn't think that this was the direction that I was going to go. But you know, after graduating UF and coming back down to Jupiter to find work and start making my way in the world, I graduated in 2008, and the economy was kind of tanking at that point in time. Tough to find work in general, and I ended up getting a job at the front desk of the Jupiter Community Center, not making very good money, and really just kind of sat there for 3 years doing my job, doing what I was supposed to. But the whole time I was really just thinking, I need to get out of this. I need to do something bigger, do something more, do something for me. And that period of time was when I was really looking for business ideas. I knew I wanted to start something for myself, and I know that at that same time, a little bit later, you graduated a few years after me, and
Got right into finance field at that point. Became a certified financial planner and realized that wasn't for me, and felt like Cory had something going on, and it was a good opportunity for us to mend forces and make something happen, and it kind of blossomed from there.
Yeah, sitting at the town, I came across the idea of a grill cleaning business, and you know, I had never heard of the idea before and had never really seen anybody doing it, and I thought it was a pretty neat idea, something that was needed in Palm Beach County, and it was pretty low barrier to entry, pretty inexpensive to get into. You know, a lot of businesses are very, very costly to start up, and I was looking for something that wasn't so much, because I didn't have the money to jump into something and spend on it. So saw the grill cleaning idea and started researching it at that point in time. Actually went to our father about the idea, and he said, sounds pretty neat. Look into it more, see if anybody's actually doing well with it. And at that point in time, I started doing research and calling everybody in the country that I could find that was doing that type of work. And this is, I think, the real education, doing this type of work. Ended up speaking to a number of people. Nobody was doing well at all. It really seemed like a pretty horrible business to get into. And then I came across a guy in Miami who was doing it, and he was doing it well, and he was doing it right, and he was making money doing it. And I spoke to him a bit on the phone and got an idea as to how he was doing what he was doing. And then I just said, look, is there any way I could possibly come down and take a look at your operation, see how you're doing, what you're doing, and why it's different? And, you know, fortunately, he was nice enough to just say, yeah, absolutely, come on down, check it out. And, you know, I found that was a big lesson at that point in time for me, is just kind of putting yourself out there like that. It's amazing what you can actually get back, what people are kind enough and willing enough to give if you just are willing to call and put yourself out there and ask. And so it was really cool going down there, checking out the business, and everything lined up with what I was hoping for. It made sense. I went back to our father and presented the idea to him and what I had learned, and he fortunately funded the beginnings of Palm Beach Grill Cleaner, which was the first business that we got into, and that business kind of took off pretty quickly. It was something that was needed in the area, and nobody else was doing it, and from there, we spent a few years doing that. Chad actually came in a couple of times and helped us clean some grills.
Yeah,
and early on, right after he graduated, before he even started working finance, and he got a feel for the very early stages of it and the dirtiest work we did that we've ever done. Yeah. And definitely a real dirty job. Probably could have been on that show with Mike Rowe. Yep. And that business is really interesting. We still have that up and running, and we still clean about 4 grills a day, 5 days a week, and it's been very successful for us. However, through that and learning how to clean the grills, learning how to repair them, which we got out of that business a long time ago. That was another educational lesson. We started repairing grills because we were right there and they needed the work. And a few years after getting into that, once Chad joined, he started looking at the numbers and realized, he pointed out to me that it was about 99% of our headaches and frustrations and about 1% of our revenue.
It's awful business.
Terrible business. And once again, this is how you really learn about business and starting something, and you start by doing it, and then you realize what's working and what's not working, and you have to put in.
And it's not all going to work out. Not everything works out. It's a famous saying that, years down the line when you're older, you're only going to regret the things that you didn't try, didn't do, and not the things that you did attempt. And, sometimes that they work and sometimes they don't.
Yeah.
It's just part of the way things happen in life.
For sure. It was interesting. It was through doing all of that work, the grill cleanings, the grill repair, and then we were at a bunch of grills that just needed to be replaced entirely. And this is really how you learn and grow a business, is by figuring out the needs. Once you start something, you find out what's lacking. And lots and lots of people in the area needed new grills. That we would go there to clean them, and we'd see them, they would be shot, and we'd let them know, I'm sorry, but you need a new grill. And the first couple times that happened, I told people of the grill stores in the area that I knew about, and then very quickly realized I'm the one standing here telling them they need a new grill. I might as well be able to also provide them that grill. And turns out you need a showroom to display grills in order to sell them. And so that was kind of the next evolution of the business. At that point, we decided to set up a showroom, rent a new space with some warehouse and some showroom, really tiny space, a little tiny office, and jumped on into that and started building displays for these grills that we were showing. And the displays that we were building were outdoor kitchens. And so it was a very natural progression that, okay, if we're going to sell grills and we're needing to build these displays, and these displays are outdoor kitchens, and now we figured out how to build them, we might as well sell the whole thing. And about that same time, that's when Chad fully joined the team and started finding his place in everything we're doing here, and became really my business partner, and him and I are the real driving force of everything we do with this business. And it was really interesting kind of starting from there with construction and learning to start moving into that realm and growing.
Yeah. And from there was years of trade work and knowledge on site with contracting, positions that we've been able to become general contractors and kind of expand our network of work that we're able to perform. At that point, we saw the need in always being nimble. When you're a young business and small enough that you can pivot and maneuver quickly, it's important to do those things, because a lot of people don't realize that just being set in your ways and resting on your laurels will set you back big time. And so if you're not continuing to innovate and develop, we noticed it with so many different businesses. And so it became imperative that we continue to educate ourselves and go to expos and different events and just work on our craft and work on the way that we were able to manage the different directions we're going. And it's not easy, but, part of what will continue to innovate the business and continue drive growth is that, you have to keep pushing forward. I think it was Jim Rohn who had a quote that said, motivation's a lot like taking a shower. You want to do it every single day. And one of the things that you really need to keep on doing is not only motivating yourself, but more importantly, educating yourself and continuing to develop different systems and processes and refine it every day in, day out. And if you make little changes and tweaks every single day throughout an entire year, you've made 365 changes. And in that case, those things start to compound and start to really show over time.
That's always been a huge thing for both Chad and I. Every single day, we literally would evaluate what went
wrong.
What went wrong with the
Okay,
business.
not going to have that happen again. So what do we need to do?
What kind of change can we figure out how to make and then implement it? And we would just make a change like that every single day, at least one. I mean, some days there'd be a ton of them that we'd try to implement all at once. And that allowed us to keep on evolving and keep growing and keep learning. And beyond that, not just learning the things that we needed to improve upon with our day-to-day business, but also learning all kinds of new skills to build upon. At one point in time, I was learning how to do photography and photo editing, and I was really getting into that just so that we could take quality photos of our projects and put them on the website and social media. At a certain point in time, we got too busy for that, and we ended up hiring a photographer to start getting the photos and doing the editing. But I feel it was really important just to even learn that step in the first place so we could get into it. But then beyond that, just to have the knowledge of what we're looking for from a photographer,
right?
In moving forward, the vision, the branding that we wanted to put on the business. I know Chad learned a while back how to build websites, and he has built the websites for each of our businesses. And that's a critical skill as well.
Yeah, it's important to be able to wear a lot of hats. Obviously, when you're starting any business, you have to wear all of them. You're head of HR, you're head of payroll, you're head of accounting and payables and receivables, and you're head of marketing and development, you're head of designs and sales. And those are a lot of hats to wear all at once. And so when you're growing, that is a crucial thing to know, that the business in a lot of ways is going to own you. And you aren't just going to be able to sit back and relax and do nothing, because it's just not a multi-billion-dollar company at that point. Even the chairmans and the CEOs at that point are struggling daily to just keep up. But, at the end of the day, I think it's important that if you have a thought or something that you want to do and you speak about it a lot, you want to put that out into the atmosphere that you want to do something, and you have to be the switch on the wall. You have to be able to take all of that electrical current that's going to the light switch and flick it on. And sometimes it just takes doing it and going for it, because if you don't try, you'll never know. And that's something that we've always just continued to say, hey, let's throw everything at the wall and see what sticks. And it's continued to help us learn a lot of valuable lessons, and it's continued to help us grow our businesses.
I saw a meme on Instagram the other day, and I just, it's so simple, but I just loved it. It was two separate cartoon drawings of ladders, two different ladders with two different people. And one of the ladders had a rung every 6 inches, and just like 150 rungs on this ladder. And the person at that ladder was 3/4 of the way up the ladder already. And then the other ladder had 5 rungs for the same height. And the first rung was taller than the person could even jump up to and reach. Yeah. And, and it just said the importance of taking tiny steps, little steps. Yep. And that's just, it's so true, and I think it was also, it might have been Jim Rohn as well, who had talked basically about it's easy to sit on the couch and watch TV, but it's also easy to watch. This isn't exactly what Jim Rohn said, because this was a little before him. But it's
easy to not go to the gym.
Yeah.
It's also easy to go to the gym.
Right.
You just have to go and do it.
It's just making that easy decision in that moment. Being a bodybuilder seems like an insurmountable task, but going to the gym right now is a very simple thing. And so it's all about making these iterative, decisions, each one leading to the next and to the next, and
But
and
still
then
having the big goal.
but still having the big goal and the direction to
because
go in.
otherwise you don't know really which direction you're going.
Yep.
And it's super important.
And throughout running the business and building the business, we've definitely had all kinds of interesting experiences. We've put ourselves out there a number of times. We've definitely gone and done home shows and boat shows and tried to build prefabricated outdoor kitchens that we were trying to compete with another cheaper company, and turned out that everyone didn't really recognize the value in a better built product when it came to that price range, and that was a failure.
Learning experience. Learning experience is what it was. It was we ended up perfecting our craft in terms of sales. We spent a weekend pitching to thousands of people the same thing over and over and over, and we'd work on it. We'd listen to one another talk, and we'd say, hey, maybe you want to say it this way, or let's come up with a different way of phrasing this. And at the end of it, we were really good.
Once again, in one way, it was a failure. In thousands of ways, it was a success. It was us doing something, trying something, and if we just went and it didn't work and we didn't learn any lessons, then boy, that's a failure. But we learned so much through that process, what not to do in the future, what things to say to people. Just like you're saying, we honed our craft, and a
lot of people are afraid to put themselves out there. Especially when you're born in the U.S. and you're born into a comfortable family or household or area of way of living. It's almost like you have more to lose in your mind to attempt something. And so you're afraid to even go for it. Whereas so many people that are immigrants or first generational people in the United States, they go for it. And those are some of the most successful people in the country because they have nothing to lose and they have everything to gain. And sometimes, even if you're fortunate enough to be in a better position, it's important to kind of thrive and put yourself back into a position of, you know what, I need to go for it or else I'll never get to where I want. And I think a lot of people too are afraid or don't think they can get to a certain spot because it's just so overwhelming. And they just don't see themselves or picture themselves doing that or getting there. And I think it's important to always have that vision and stick with it, because if you think about it enough, you'll work to get there.
Yeah, and I find it interesting. I think so many people these days, too, have this kind of vision of, well, I go to college and I learn what I'm supposed to learn, and then I go out into the world and then I get a high-paying job and life is good. And, that's not the way things really work anymore. I'm not quite sure if they ever truly did, but they certainly don't work that way these days. And I keep trying to tell younger people, I'm starting to feel older these days, I guess, but I keep trying to tell younger people who are going to college or who are at that age, there's so many opportunities out there. Even something like welding, is a business where welding, I think the average age of welders nowadays is 70. We use welding services on a daily basis for our business, and I know many, many other businesses that do as well, and we pay good money for those welding services. And, just to be able to go and learn a skill set like that, and then, you can expound upon that by getting good at that skill set, keep improving how you do things, and then going out on your own and then doing it privately for yourself as your own company, and then hiring help when you need more help, and then before you know it, you own a business and you're making really, really good money doing something that started as you using your hands, and now all of a sudden you're in an office every day and you've got crews of people going out using their hands for you. But
I think it's important like that. You must wear as many hats as you can until you just physically and mentally can't stretch it any further, and it makes enough sense to hire on somebody at that point in time. And whoever wants to follow the whole 4-hour work week regime or idea, that's worked out for a few people. It happens, but overall, you have to put in the time and the energy. There's been many nights where I've slept on the floor here in the office. Not because I wanted to, not because I didn't want to get back to my family, because that is not the reality. It is imperative to do everything you can at points. And some people just need to know to push themselves to get there and do everything without fail.
You know, and there's so much available information out there these days. Whatever you want to learn, you know, I mean, that Jim Rome quote about going to the gym, like I can make it even simpler these days. You know, once again, it's so easy to sit there and watch Netflix on your phone, but it's also very easy to watch YouTube on your phone and watch a video about videography and learning how to make videos, and then to use your phone to start with making videos, and then all of a sudden you're starting in a direction. I mean, it's easier than it's ever been to learn new skills and to implement those skills and to move forward in a direction. And I think that's all it takes, is just setting goals, having a direction,
and being nimble
and taking those small steps to get in that direction. And then, yes, realizing if that direction seems like it's just not going to work out, then
quickly rotate.
Yep.
Yeah, it's very doable and very, you know, we've seen so much in the growth, and obviously like that, we jumped from those outdoor kitchens into full patio renovations and much larger projects, and now into asphalt and different territories of work, but all of it has the same underlying principle and the same way of starting the business and the same methods of determination, because that's really what you have to have, and you have to stick to your guns and make sure that you have a direction. And another thing that we've found to be really important is that we've tried to stick with a direction. A lot of businesses, you get into, even let's just say real estate, for example. What's your focus in real estate? If you sell homes, you sell homes for anyone, or you can do commercial real estate too. You can do home sales. You can do, you know, who are you? What are you? Mm-hmm. And I think it's really important to say, well, I sell homes between the $1 and $2 million range for young adults moving to South Florida from New York, Manhattan. Mm-hmm. It gives you a direction. It gives you a market that you really want to hit. It gives you something to go after, to attack, instead of waiting for it to come to you and waiting for people to say, oh, I need you. And you're like, yeah, I do real estate. And, you know, okay, well, maybe I don't need you. But if you say I do real estate for $10 million plus houses, and you show that and you act like you do it, and you already have done a couple, then that client may say, yeah, we have to use so-and-so because that's what they do. That's their market.
You know, not only does that help your clientele understand that you've got a niche and this is what you specialize in, and that helps the right clientele find you specifically, it allows you to become a more sharper target for your clients to find, but also it hones your skills. I mean, when you have a very clear, distinct niche direction to go, you know what you're trying to learn, what you're trying to capitalize on, and what you're trying to perfect your own skills and craft with.
And obviously you can't come out the gate and say I only do $10 million plus transactions in real estate, but you know, you got to do the $2,500 a month rental to start. But it is important to slowly change and revise who you are and what you are targeting over time. And I think that's important. So when you're starting a business, to stay nimble and small, but also have a direction of really where you're wanting to go to, so that way you're able to target an audience in the future.
Yeah, and of course that doesn't mean you can't expand as well as time goes by. If for example, obviously we started just doing grill cleanings, and then started another business, which is Fischman. Well, it started as Fischman Outdoor Kitchens. That's when we started building custom outdoor kitchens and selling the grills and all of that. We then, over time, realized that outdoor kitchens were such a specific niche that we had gotten so good at it that we were more than capable of handling that and then some.
Well, a lot of our clients came to us and said, well, can't you do the pavers in the space too? And wanting that additional thing, they really want the one-stop shop. And so sometimes you kind of go towards where your clients are suggesting for you to go to. And sometimes that is it's the direction that you should open up to and be open up to.
So as much as you should be goals directed and specific in your what you're trying to achieve, you should also be very, very open to what comes in to you and the opportunities that present themselves. If you're not ready to keep your eyes open for opportunities, then you're going to totally miss them, and they'll come from all over the place. You just have to be open to them and recognize them when they come. And then at that point in time, you need to evaluate opportunities. And do we want to get into this? Would this make sense? Is this a financially viable maneuver? Is this something we're capable of doing? Do we have the qualifications to do it? And if maybe no to some of those, maybe you figure out, okay, how do we get the qualifications, or how do we make it a profitable direction ahead? And you just have to be open to the opportunities, but also be doing your research and really thinking through every step that you're taking.
What would you say is the biggest motivational factor for you at this point in time with the businesses?
That's a good question. One of the big things that's always motivated me was just being successful in general. And when I say success, I'm not specifically referring to financial. Obviously, financial success comes along with success in business in general, but I just wanted to show myself that I could build something that really was a success, that really has lasting power and allows me to live the lifestyle that I want, and allows me to bring people in and help them live the lifestyles that they want as well. For me, that was truly what it was all about, was to just build something of value and know that
it's bigger than you.
It's bigger than me, exactly. And just really be able to make those maneuvers, all the things that we've been talking about, as far as the micro adjustments that we've made and the overarching goals that we've had. All of those, to me, that stuff is so much fun. I don't know if everybody feels that way, but that's, to me, some of the most fun parts of owning a business, and being able to expand.
Strategic thinking, growth. That's your mindset of something's challenging. Let's figure it out.
It's challenging. Yeah. That's what's really cool. I'm fortunate enough that I love using my mind, and I get to use it on a daily basis in terms of growing and building these businesses. And that's always been a big goal of mine as well. When I think back to sitting at the front desk of the Jupiter Community Center, I have fond memories of some of the people and some of the experiences. However, in general, I was bored out of my mind sitting there just doing the things that I'm supposed to do for the people who told me to do them. And to me, it's like, oh my God, if I can...
Hamster wheel.
Yeah, running around on the hamster wheel, nonstop, same thing, all day, every day. And owning a business and running a business and building and growing, it allows me to learn so many new things and decide those directions. As I said, opportunities will come at you left and right, truly more so than you can even try to work towards, way too many. And so you really have to be picky and choosy as to the opportunities that you take, but that's the fun part. You get to decide what direction you're going to unleash your brain power, your capacity towards, and you get to go in that direction. And to me, unlike school and jobs where this is what you're supposed to do, learn this or do this, to me that just kind of made my mind shut off. But being able to choose what I want to learn and focus on that really turns my brain on, and that's what makes things way more interesting. That rather than just doing the same activities all day every day, I actually get to really choose the things that I want to work on. And because I chose them, they're interesting to me, and I put everything I have into it.
Yeah, I'd have to say that the growth is just the most fun part, and seeing it when you work hard at it coming to fruition. It's really exciting. It's what I personally live for with the whole thing, because I'm definitely not a person that wants to run the hamster wheel and spin my wheels the same repetitive process, the same everything every single day. It's just not for my personality. But to see, sometimes you're going to do the same stuff each day, and that's just what it is. It is work, and you have to manage those expectations and know that you're you're committing to doing everything at all cost. But in general, growth is just so much fun, and we just keep adding more and more stress to our lives because we like it. And obviously, at some point in time, when we're at a certain age, we may say, I don't like growth anymore. I like to just hang here and let's rest on our laurels. And that'll probably be the cue for us to say sayonara and get out of it. Just like Bob Iger with Disney said, as soon as I stopped questioning all of the executives' goals or ideas, I knew that I shouldn't be here anymore, even though he is back there because they had a failed situation for a couple of years. He's coming back in to save the day. But in general, I think that's really where, if you're continuing to want the growth and continuing to want the challenges, that means that you're still in a good phase to attack and to grow businesses and keep moving forward on them, because once you get past that, it's kind of downhill from there in a lot of ways. Sure. Maybe you find different hobbies in your life that you really want to focus on instead and use that time. But that's definitely where I've seen the growth be the fun part.
Yeah, to touch on something you just mentioned, by the way, though, the stress, I don't think we mentioned much about that. As intriguing as it is to build a business and to run a business and to learn all the new things you need to learn to do all of this, don't be fooled. It is massively, massively stressful. There are days that are gut-wrenchingly stressful. I cannot even begin to explain.
Start the day, you walk in feeling really good. Even as soon as this morning, we had a situation where you just feel good. You're all right, ready to attack the day. And then something hits you from a blind, left field, and you're just like, deflated. You got to repump and re-energize yourself, and it's hard. It's not easy.
It's very hard. There's nothing easy about building a business. I think the fact that it's not easy is what makes it fun and enjoyable and exciting. But it is massively stressful, massive anxiety at times through this. You have to find your ways to kind of take your free moments, the little that you do have the first quite a few years, honestly, you have to find those moments to just relax, take a breath, connect with your soul again, and just kind of bring yourself back, because it's a lot, especially once you start taking on employees and having the responsibility of their livelihood on your shoulders as well. There are things that you never, ever expected you'd experience by owning a business when you first started the business. Things you never could have contemplated or expected or thought you'd ever experience. They'll happen.
Yeah, those are the hard things. It's those unknowns, those territories where you've just never been in a position to have to do something before and have difficult conversations with clients, employees, whatever the fact of the matter is. It's not a simple process. It's not something that is for people that want to just coast through life. It definitely is not. And so you're going to want to make sure you are that switch on the wall, because it's the only way the electricity is going to flow through it is by you flicking it on and pushing through. Because otherwise it's not. It'll quickly take you down a spiral that's rough.
For sure.
Yeah, I've seen that.
To talk a little bit about the evolution of the businesses. Obviously, we've already mentioned starting out with the grill cleaning services and the repair work that we were doing that we stopped because it didn't work out, and then getting into the outdoor kitchens and grill sales, and then the prefabricated low-cost outdoor kitchens at the boat shows and home shows that didn't work out well, and we stopped doing that, and then we've expanded and gotten into full patio remodels, whether it's pavers, pergolas, drop screens, outdoor kitchens, pools. Everything that goes into the patio space is now our niche and specialty. And some people might ask, why do you keep going and keep changing all these things? And I think we've obviously explained a little bit about that. You always have to be open to new opportunities, and you have to, once you get a handle on one aspect of your business, if you want to grow, then start pushing forward in another direction that allows you more opportunity.
Scalability,
opportunity. That's what it's all about in terms of moving forward. And that's something that Chad and I are constantly thinking about and looking towards. And that's why we've continued to move forward and grow the business into new realms and new directions. And obviously we said numerous times that you want to have kind of a niche and a direction for your business, but we've also been explaining how we've been expanding the roles of our business, and that in bringing new people on who can help us with that expansion, and also just seeing these opportunities open up in front of us. That's why we do these things. That's why we've grown the business in these different ways. And that's also why we are starting and have started our asphalt business, Fischman Asphalt. And that's really, obviously, for most people, when we talk to them about it, it's kind of like, wow, that's coming out of left field. What's that all about? It's totally different than what you've been doing. And in ways, yes, and in ways, no. It is still obviously within the construction realm. But at the same time, we have learned so many lessons about business and running a business and a construction business. We've learned what we like about running a construction business. We learned what we don't like about running a construction business. And the realm that we're in with patio remodels it's definitely a very niche realm and has its limitations. And we do very well with what we do. We've worked very hard to be good at what we do. And we also see the limitations. We kind of feel like we've almost been hitting the limitations in terms of the amount of business that the area that we're in has the capacity to provide us. And so that's why, okay, what's the next step? Let's see what direction we can move in now. What more can we do?
Bigger scale, bigger scale.
Yeah, that's key. And so that's what the asphalt is going to be providing us, is larger scale, larger opportunities, and it's actually quite simplified in terms of a business to run compared to the custom patio construction realm, which is really intriguing to us.
Yeah, so we're excited about that. And I think that's something that you always want to keep your mind on too, is the business venture that I'm getting into a market cap of, X, or does it have a lot of scalability? If you may think that I'm making little bracelets on a local scale for friends with turtles on them, but can that become something bigger? Yeah, it's possible. There's opportunities out there. And so I think that, it's taking something that's simple, that has already been done, and making it better. It's the same thing as like the Midas oil change. Was first time that an oil was changed in a car, sure, you could have had a local oil shop and done a lot of business from local customers, but how did they convert it into something that was truly a better process, better system, scalable? Creating those systems early in your business will help you in the long run. That is the key, because the more processes you create, the more things that you can pass on to somebody else that takes that role from you in the future, the better you're going to be and poised and ready for growth. Because if you just feel like I have to show up tomorrow morning and I have to go back through all of the, receivables, and I have to just deal with what's going on daily, you're never going to be able to get out of that trap unless you come up with systems and processes that can be repeated by somebody else. And I've seen it a million times where a lot of businesses just get stuck. And it's because the owners typically are just going crazy, ripping their hair out daily because they're super reactive.
They're stuck in the day-to-day.
Stuck in the day-to-day without any bit of growth, thinking it through and thinking about where they want to go and what the business should look like.
If you can't systemize the day-to-day and put it in somebody else's hands to take that system and run with it and utilize it to keep doing the things that you've always done, then you'll never have the time to focus on the next thing you're going to do. And that is something that's been critical for us from day one. We've always worked on processes and systems, like Chad was saying, and putting together spreadsheets and checklists and all that kind of stuff. And we make sure that all of our employees do the same things. We handed hours off to them when we brought them in to help us do the work that we do, and then they had more availability than just doing those things. So we started utilizing our employees to do more than they've ever done for us and more than the business has ever done. And then we asked them to whatever they're doing now, whatever new things that they've started to do for the business that perhaps Chad and I never, ever did for the business, we ask them to put those systems together, write them down, put them into spreadsheets and checklists so that they can make their job as efficient as possible. And also, if we ever need to bring somebody else in to help, here it is. Here's the system. Here's how that works.
And it may not be a person that you're putting that in place for. Maybe an automation robot, unfortunately, in circumstances. But sometimes even things like emails, automatic reminder emails, things like that you just want to start utilizing technology to help you and to not just think it's a hindrance on you. So
client tracking software, text messaging software solutions, all of that stuff. So many
things that you just want to keep on looking into and evolving and utilizing for your growth, because it may just be a bunch of things that you feel like you're doing administrative duties all day long that you could actually offload onto a platform or even a remote assistant or something else that can help you do something.
I used to go out onto job sites with a measuring tape and my phone, and using the phone camera and the measuring tape, I would take maybe 150 measurements of the corner of somebody's patio.
It would take hours.
And I'd take photos of it, and it would take a couple hours just to get that much data, just so that I could come back and interpret all those measurements to turn them into a 3D design of the corner of their patio so that I could design a kitchen into that space. At a certain point, we realized the efficiency of that was terrible, and we looked into making an investment, and we bought a $20,000 LiDAR scanner that takes, in about 30 minutes, it gathers around 50 million measurements of a space. I mean, 50 million measurements in 30 minutes compared to my 150 measurements in an hour and a half. It's a massive, massive leap ahead in speed, efficiency, the detail that we now had available to us. And then we figured out ways that we could translate those scans, those measurements, into not just recreating a corner of somebody's patio, but recreating the entire backyard, house, pool, pavers, windows, doors, everything. And it provides such a better experience in the design process for our customers than we were ever able to provide before. And a lot of people look at that $20,000 investment as, oh my God, that's a huge amount of money to spend on a tool to take measurements. But the amount of money that it's saving us and or making us because of the time that it's saving and the detail that we're able to now have, it's
reinvesting, very important. Reinvesting and utilizing technologies,
huge.
I have to say, are a couple big points on growing your business. And there, once again, there's so many resources out there on YouTube these days, and website building softwares, and so many opportunities. You don't have to have $1 million to start a business anymore. So a lot of opportunity, and it's just something that you just got to do it. Just do it. It's a Nike commercial over here. But the reality is it's true. You have to jump in.
And speaking of just doing it, obviously, we've been talking about all the businesses, including the asphalt business, and this whole podcast episode is really about, how do you get started, how do you get going, how do you run a business, how do you build a business. So I figured I'd just go into a little bit of background in terms of our most recent search for new business and what we're doing and how we've gotten now into the asphalt field. And it's a very similar story to the grill cleaning business. We started looking at newer, larger opportunities about 1.5 years, 2 years ago. We started thinking, what's the future going to hold? What are we going to really build and do? And how do we keep ourselves excited and interesting about growth? And it was actually Chad that brought the idea of an asphalt business to mind. And he brought it to me, and right off the bat, I thought, what are you talking about? That has nothing to do with what we've been doing. I thought we were going to start building custom homes or commercial buildings or something like that. Things that were a little sexier, in my opinion. And he said, you know what? Just hear me out on this. Let's talk this through. And he started pointing out all of the reasons why the asphalt business, compared to our existing businesses, it hit all the strong points, and it really didn't have any of the weak points. It didn't have any of the things that we do not like about the current businesses that we run, and it had a lot of advantages that don't exist with the current businesses that we have, and it made a ton of sense. Thank you, Chad, for the foresight on that one. He had been kind of developing this idea for a while based off of his love of boats. You want to explain that one, Chad?
Yeah, no, I've been watching a lot of the sport fishing tournaments and different things, and saw that a lot of the businesses out there were, or rather boats out there were owned by a lot of businesses that were in the industry that does construction on whether it's roads or highways or bridges and things of that nature. And so there was some boats and people that I was following at the time that were doing that work, and I could see.
These are big boats.
Yeah, they were not. Yeah, they weren't your 13-foot Boston whaler, that's for sure. So, sizable vessels and just an interesting niche market where it's kind of a hidden gem or underground, above ground, realistically, industry that, if you look around America, you are flying on an airplane, you are looking down at a lot of roads and a lot of money and a lot of government work and a lot of private work and public works and so on and so forth. And so it just kind of made sense, the simplicity of it, major barriers to entry and major upfront capital investment, which I think shuns a lot of people away because it's a big risk. But at the same time, if you have the time and you have the energy and you have the ability and you do have construction knowledge, and Cory and I just felt like this was what we were really wanting to head into, and the direction for many reasons. And so we wanted to see where it takes us, and I think that's really where we're at in the phase right now. It's just this beginning of more stress in our lives and new ventures.
And that is where we're at, but there's been a little bit more into it than that. It's of course, we can sit here and just say, yeah, so we wanted to start an asphalt business, so we're starting an asphalt business. But of course, the theme of this entire podcast episode has been, how do you actually do this? And so once Chad brought me around to the idea of asphalt and that being a really viable direction and future for us, we started doing our research. Both of us flew up in early 2022 to Nashville to actually go to the asphalt convention up there, to learn about the machinery, the equipment, meet some people in the industry, go to some courses, ask them, the people teaching the courses, their thoughts on what we were planning on doing. And that was tricky. That was interesting, kind of putting ourselves out there as novices, as nobodies. We've worked very hard to build a successful business, a couple successful businesses in their own fields. And here we are at this huge asphalt show with these massive pieces of equipment, and we're listening to these people teach these courses and then walking up to them at the end saying, "Hi, I know nothing about this. Where should I start?" And granted, we knew nothing about asphalt, but we know a lot about running a business. And so we do have a very good basis of getting a business started, but asphalt was all new to us. And so that was the first step that we took. And then we came back from that show knowing and understanding the processes of the industry and the equipment that we needed to actually invest in the first place to get the operation going. And so that's when we started making calls locally to equipment, sales offices, companies that specialize in heavy equipment and asphalt equipment, and we started making contacts that way. Once again, just putting yourself out there. We met a number of people who've helped us massively already, just in their experience and knowledge about the equipment, the industry, the connections, and that's been huge for us.
Yeah, putting yourself out there is definitely key. Once again, we're in this early stage of this next venture, and there's a lot of growth ahead and a lot of opportunities. And I think at the end of the day, I guess I'd say uncomfortableness of asking when you already feel like you have something or are somebody in some nature and form is really hard. And we've definitely just kept doing that, and that's really pushed us further because we've been able to put ourselves back into the shoes of no shoes. Mm-hmm. And that's really, really, really transformed the businesses through the years. We've got a lot coming up soon, and we've got a lot of exciting ventures and opportunities ahead. And we've been through some stuff just recently that really were opportunities that we couldn't have asked for a better scenario for ourselves, and it was all because we just put ourselves out there. And we have a lot to learn and a lot to grow on, and it's just important to have those resources to fall back onto, and have people that you're close enough with to ask questions and get some knowledge base from, and I think that's what's important is always just making sure you have those people on your side, somebody you can always ask a question to, almost like not a counselor, but just somebody to bounce ideas off of. And both Cory and I are able to do that between ourselves, which is really fantastic, but also people in the profession, in the trades that you want to really use as resources for growth. And, I think, once again, the whole idea with starting a business is that nimbleness and that ability to put yourself into the bottom of the barrel and feel like there's a lot of growth to do here, and we can get somewhere if we just put ourselves out there. And we're seeing it work, and we're going to be sharing more as time goes on with our processes and who we've been speaking to and industry trades and so on and so forth, because we've got a lot of growth ahead, and we really want to share it with everybody as we're transferring and moving our systems around as we're able to push further and further.
Yeah, hoping to bring some guests on to the podcast in the not too distant future that can shed a little more light on what things we've been doing and how we've been working towards growing our businesses and the future of our businesses. And so definitely a lot more exciting stuff to come. We'll probably continue expanding and expounding upon this storyline as far as starting businesses, because obviously the asphalt is a newer venture for us. For us, that's incredibly exciting, and it gives us a lot to work towards, and also going to be a lot of content to speak about. And so, as we continue moving forward, you'll be hearing a lot more about the asphalt business and just our experiences with the people that we work with day to day, and the lessons that we learn.
Absolutely. It's been really fun road so far. We've been enjoying the growth and enjoying the systems we've had in place. And, I couldn't ask for a better partner and brother in the business together, and we're having fun with it. It's
Same
been
here.
Really great.
Yep, absolutely. So with that being said, we definitely appreciate all of you for tuning in and listening to just the randomness that we've got to speak about. Once again, we've hardly been doing this long enough, 12 years now for the grill cleaning, the start of the business in general. And if that tells you anything, I feel like that's still just a fraction of the knowledge and experience needed to really give a good lesson in building and owning a business. We're still learning so much ourselves and really trying to figure it all out. But every day is an opportunity for improvement and learning, and that's what we're going to keep doing, and we're going to keep sharing those stories with you. So once again, thanks for tuning in. Thanks to Jacob with Nothing Negative for helping us out, filming and recording the podcast. And thanks, Chad, for being a great business partner and helping out. And we look forward to seeing you all on the next podcast.
Brothers Contracting.
Yep.
Thank you.
Thanks.